Hey YouTube, you made your way to Mind Your Mind with Just Justified. So, the topic I have for you today, you saw the thumbnail. So, here, let me set it up for you. Imagine living life and never getting a compliment. Not one compliment, not no one ever saying you're beautiful, no one ever saying you're handsome. Imagine living a life like that. So I recently came across a video, and it was a clip of a woman who basically said that she came to terms that she is ugly. So let's check this clip out. Right, so here we go.
I am ugly. I finally come to realize that the only person in the world that said that I was beautiful was my mother. I never forget it. I was young. And she said, I know y'all think my daughter's ugly, but my daughter is beautiful. I get inboxes from black men says I'm ugly for a black woman. I was with a woman for 14 years, told her every day she was beautiful. She never said once I was beautiful. Not even my dad said I look nice. So I come to accept the fact that I'm ugly and I never will be beautiful. That's why when the girls talk to me, they don't even like sleeping with me. I mean, I see the look on their faces. Even when I try to walk up to them, they'll give me this look. I know I'm ugly. I accept the fact that Dad, you won't date nobody like me. You like those pretty studs, pretty. I get that. I'm ugly, and I accept that. So I'm not gonna lie and say I'm fabulous or gorgeous because I'm not that. I'm not that. I would never be that. Like I said, the only person in the world that told me I was beautiful is my mother. You guys never said that. And the thing about it is, you guys are lucky. You got people walking to you, damn, you fine, you go. I'll never get that. I'll never get that. I never will. I'm an ugly black woman. And I accept that. Take care.
Dang, so I can't help but feel some sadness for this woman, because I know many of us know that when it comes to beauty, it's subjective, right? But I can't help but think about the things like pretty privilege. And when I hear things like this, I'm like, it's saddened because, I'm sure there are people that consider her um beautiful, but I'm sure just because she may not have like the conventional standards, that's why she's being judged like that. um you know and I'm not I'm not oblivious to like standards, beauty standards. I'm not oblivious, but and studies prove that there is a correlation between with physical appearance and how people treat you. So there is a correlation. So I'm not oblivious to that. And I'm not oblivious to the point that yes, there is a way that you could probably, take more care of yourself, put more effort in and all that to kind of enhance appearance, even if you're not like necessarily conventionally beautiful. But, you know, it's kind of sad that she's here talking about that she only heard that from her mother in her life. It's kind of sad. I consider myself quite average, but I couldn't fully understand a world where I really, if ever, hear that I'm beautiful. I would like to consider that, like, okay, somebody that I'm with, or you know just you know sometimes somewhere you hear that you are beautiful, and just to think that she never heard that. I don't even know how that may feel, you know but when let's go back to pretty privilege, because um pretty privilege basically is societal advantages that individuals perceived as conventionally attractive experience. So I could remember, like, going out sometimes with friends, with my friend, my main friend. We used to go out and, kind of getting pushed to the front of lines, you know, offered a drink. I don't even drink and I had to turn down drinks, but I remember being offered a drink and um things like that. But I'm like, it's sad that, the woman, she in the video, she may not be conventionally beautiful, yes, but according to mainstream, she may not be beautiful according to mainstream beauty standards, but I wouldn't say that she was ugly. And the fact that, and what made it worse for me, because even if you consider that she's not attractive to you, why are people going in her inbox having to kind of plug it in, like, stick it to her a little bit more, like, if that's the case, why go to that extent a little bit further than, okay, you can see her, and if you don't find her attractive, okay, that's you, move it along. Why do you have to go to the extent of going in her inbox? I find that kind of, wrong, evil hearted, like, I don't know. But then I also think sometimes that is the problem with the world, that they focus so much on the external, and I understand it. I see it, if you're aware, you see it. So, but it's sad that that's what is focused so much on, the external, like so heavily, because when sadly we often face basically crap wrapped in a bow, you know there are so many beautiful people with ugly characters, and just to think that, okay, they may get away with things just because they're considered beautiful. So that brings me to something in the psychological realm called the halo effect. So here's another video about the halo effect.
And it's subtly influencing your thoughts without you realizing. It's a phenomenon where if a person has one positive trait, like being conventionally good looking, then we assume they
Sorry, I'll repeat it.
positive traits, like being intelligent or kind or successful, even if we've just met them and if we have no evidence to support that. And this happens in almost every area of life. Teachers might assume that a student who excels at one subject, like maths, is a strong student overall, even if they actually struggle in other areas. And this is particularly significant in politics, where a leader who's charismatic and good at public speaking might be assumed to be a strong leader overall, even if they've not yet proven themselves in other areas like policy and decision making. But the halo effect can also work in reverse, where if someone has one negative trait, like having dirty clothes, it leads us to believe that they have other negative traits as well, like being organized and lazy and unproductive. So how can we use this to our advantage? Well, for ourselves, we can try and be more aware that the halo effect exists and try to do things to make a good first impression. And with others, we can try not to let one positive or one negative trait define our entire perception of them.
So he basically says that, with the halo effect, it's like, okay, this person is beautiful, so they must be trustworthy, they must be kind, they must be good, for the most part. He also says there's a negative part too, because sometimes, okay, I've heard when people talk about pretty privilege a lot, that sometimes there's people who gravitate towards them, but then there's also people that kind of get jealous and treat them negatively as well. So I know that there's like two ways to it. Now I do understand that there are privileges that others may not experience if they are not, considered conventionally beautiful. And I may admit to sometimes accepting the advantages that may come with pretty privilege. It saddens me though of how shallow the world is, even though I do admit that I've accepted at times, you know, the privileges of it. Um, because we live in a world like basically that makes me think of people like even the like narcissistic types. Some usually they're very charismatic, and then people will see this charismatic person and be drawn to them, and they will overlook the toxic traits. And that is where I believe just going by the outward appearance may be very deceptive. We live in a world where people are treated poorly if they do not meet the beauty standards. And on the other hand, there are some people who quite frankly that may recognize that they meet that standard and may take advantage of it. So I just say I don't basically I prefer to see people's character, not only go by outward appearance. I know it has a hand in a lot, like presentation matters, especially when you think about things like court, when you think about things like church, when you think about things, certain events. Of course, physical appearance matter to an extent, but I do prefer to not just be limited at physical appearance. I prefer to look at a person's character. So you can come with a pretty bow, but I want to see what is your character and how genuine, how authentic, how honest, you know, how kind, how good you are. And to me, that's a stronger foundation than just being limited by the physical. So it is now time for the mindful moment. So the mindful moment question for today is, have you ever experienced pretty privilege? If you did, please share it below. If you ever experienced pretty privilege, share your experience below. If it's positive, negative, let the effects of it. Let me hear your story. Share it below and comment, and we'll have a conversation. All right? So please like, share, subscribe, comment, as I said before, and I will see you in the next one.